We have an update in regards to Jakob Poeltl's futures. Apparently, the Toronto Raptors are open for business on potential trades with anyone outside of our top three young players. So we'll discuss that, including Bruce Brown making a cryptic Instagram post that makes it seem like he's gone from the Toronto Raptors, and former Toronto Raptors absolutely balling out for their new team. So lots of stuff to break down in this video. Before we dive into that, folks, again, over 57% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel, and we are very close to 33,000 subscribers. So it would mean the world to me if you guys could hit that subscribe button so we can deliver all the latest Toronto Raptors news to you. But let's dive into that latest Toronto Raptors news. As Poeltl spoke out recently on the new direction of the Toronto Raptors, and now we have a trade update regarding his potential future with this organization. So basically, Jakob Poeltl was brought in last year at the trade deadline in a very, in hindsight, makes sense value-wise to give up a protected first-round pick for starting centers Masai Ujiri discussed in his press conference, but given how everything played out for the Toronto Raptors, in hindsight, probably the Spurs got the best of us in that deal, but Poeltl's still a very strong, solid center, and he's spoken out recently on how he doesn't want to play for a tanking team, but he is willing to be a part of the Toronto Raptors, even if they're developing and retooling, going younger, as long as they're focused on winning. So that's basically his quote. That's why I broke down in yesterday's video. You can get a deeper dive into that, to check out that vid after this one. But basically, Josh Lundberg came out with some more details regarding the Raptors' approach to not the entire roster, but Jakob Poeltl in specifically, the entire roster as well. Basically, Josh Lundberg came out and said that this is a team in transition, and even after a couple big franchise-altering moves, Ujiri has made it clear that they are not done dealing ahead of the February 8th trade deadline. Multiple league sources have confirmed the obvious that the Raptors appear to be open for business, and outside of Barnes and the two former Knicks, obviously being RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley, everything and everyone is on the table. If they can turn any of their vets, Trent, Dennis Schroeder, Chris Boucher, and newly acquired Bruce Brown, and perhaps even Poeltl into picks or prospects that would help push the rebuild further, it's hard to see them passing up on that. So that's really interesting because, again, we've seen all the reports under the sun come out on Boucher, Trent, Bruce Brown, Schroeder, even despite his relationship with Darko Rajokovic. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of chatter about those guys. But we've even heard some, like the Jake Fishers of the world, say that Jakob Poeltl will probably stay with the Toronto Raptors, potentially stay, given the fact they acquired him last summer, we're still deployed of a center, but I mean, I've discussed how if the Raptors want to make a push for the bottom, they need to run it without the lineups of having a big man in there. We're not going to be able to catch the Portland Trailblazers of the world, stay behind the Memphis Grizzlies with Poeltl in the lineup. We're going to win not a lot of games, but we're going to win a lot more than those Grizzlies teams that are completely depleted. We're going to win a lot more games than those sort of teams to end this year. And obviously, if the Raptors want to maintain their draft pick for this season, it has to fall below number 6. So we need to increase those odds dramatically. So with Jakob Poeltl on the roster, that hinders that sort of approach significantly. And then Josh Lundberg also went on to say that after hosting the Clippers and one of the hottest teams, which are one of the hottest teams in the NBA, they'll get out for another 6-game road trip leading up to the next month for the trade deadline, when an already young rotation could get even younger. Poeltl wants to be a part of a developing team as long as they are still competitive, and the Raptors want to be competitive as long as they're still developing. For now, their paths align for now, but perhaps not for long. And basically, this is something to really keep your eyes turned, because it seems like, by all indications, everything we're looking at from the comments made by Darko Rajokovic in the media and stuff, the prioritization of developing young players is the main centerpiece for this Toronto Raptors team, the main focus for this Raptors team to close out this season. Usually when that language is thrown around by your head coach, it means you're throwing out young guys, which doesn't necessarily mean being the most competitive as possible. So does Poeltl want to come back to that? Do the Raptors want Poeltl to come in and win a couple games, and then it's the difference between the 6th pick, which you keep, and the 7th pick, which you lose? I don't really know. Poeltl signed a very long-term contracts. The Raptors do control his sort of rights and stuff for the future, and he's still a guy putting up solid numbers. Again, nothing too crazy, but 11 points per game, 8 rebounds, 2.5 assists. Those assist numbers should be higher in my opinion, but like in terms of what he can provide, kind of not utilizing him as much as we could be in the high post with his skill set there. But basically, 68% from the field is efficient, remarkably efficient. And now with Emmanuel quickly could get more shots at the rim. Again, the worst part about Jakob Poeltl's game is the lack of shooting, particularly the free throw shooting. He doesn't space the floor at whatsoever out there on the offensive end, and then when he gets fouled, he's only making half of those shots. So it's he's a guy that would command sort of a market out there for sure. But this season, unlike last year, there's less teams out there in the market for a big center. I mean, the Celtics were very intrigued about Jakob Poeltl last off season or last trade deadline. I remember they were the team the Raptors are competing with the most, for potential deals. But again, they were trying to lowball the Spurs with like a Peyton Pritchard and second round pick sort of package. And then you also have teams that are kind of devoid of a center right now. The Oklahoma City Thunder come to mind, as Chet Holmgren has been blocking a lot of shots. It's been a beast out there on the defensive end for the Thunder, but is probably built as more of one of those kind of Chris Boucher-esque centers or power forwards, right? Thinner framed, so he can come over and have really good defensive instincts to block a lot of shots, but you probably don't want him banging down low consistently over the course of the season. The Joel Embiids, the Nikola Jokic's of the world, taking all that beating night in, night out, especially where he missed his entire rookie season due to injury. So having a big lumbering center that can play out there on the court probably won't close the games given his poor free throw shooting, but, check and close the games for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But having a full-time starting five in Jakob Poeltl, given the fact that the Thunder have a lot of cap space and flexibility with their squad, I wouldn't be shocked if they're a team that's interested in a Poeltl. Again, then you can look at all the usual sort of contenders. I mean, the Lakers could always they're a bit depleted out there in the front court. The Clippers, who will play tonight, I wouldn't be surprised given Zubac dealt with some injuries. Plumlee hasn't been that great for the team, but has been a solid backup. I mean, Poeltl would make sense. They're always trying to acquire Toronto Raptors or former Toronto Raptors, so don't be surprised if Jakob Poeltl does end up getting dealt, but let me know what you guys think. What would you give up for Jakob Poeltl? Should we keep him? Should we trade him? Let me know in the comment section down below. But one guy that seems like he is going to be traded is Bruce Brown. He just made a cryptic message on Instagram, which, again, a lot of people don't like to read into, but given the fact all the rumors, all the reports that have been coming out regarding Bruce Brown, I'm reading into this one. I'm certainly reading into this one, as he basically posted on his Instagram story, today, this post of Chris Brown, Chris Breezy, and the Say Goodbye sort of, I think it's a song name, it says that at the bottom right corner, a little music video, stuff like that. Chris Brown, Bruce Brown, same last name and stuff. So he posted that, immediately followed by a picture of him running on the Toronto Raptors court. It almost looks like he's waving out there in his Instagram story. Again, Bruce Brown is a really good basketball player. He's a guy that, is one of the best role players in the entire NBA. We saw how valuable he was to the Denver Nuggets, a championship-winning team. Last season, ended up winning the Nuggets. A champ, obviously, was a part of that sort of team, an integral piece. So we know what he can provide to actual contenders. The Raptors are not that right now, and with the exception of the first game, he's had some moments here or there, but isn't really fitting what the Toronto Raptors kind of want or need here now at this point. I think both sides, all fans would agree, it makes sense to deal away Bruce Brown for as many assets as you can potentially get out there on the open market. And if you don't get any decent deals, then heck, keep him around and then figure out next season. Because, if the Raptors turn things around for next year, Bruce Brown could be a cool piece. You can still trade him in the offseason. So the Raptors aren't desperate, but it seems like a move will be coming for Bruce Brown here now at this point. So, keep an eye on that. Keep your eyes peeled for a potential Bruce Brown trade coming. But the final thing we're taking a look at is former Toronto Raptors cooking on their new teams. Now, it's been widely noted how better the Knicks have been with OG Anunoby on the roster in the group. He's now getting all the recognition across the NBA. I'm seeing posts left, right, and center saying OG should be a DPOY candidate. I've been screaming that on these videos for the past 3 years, but he's in a bigger market now, so more people are going to be sort of recognizing him. His name is sort of in the headlines because of the trade, not just because he's in New York. So, I mean, shout out to OG Anunoby getting some credit, getting some love from the national media, but he's been good. And then Pascal Siakam, despite losing his first couple games with the Indiana Pacers, had a big night last night as well. Basically, Pascal, 26, 13, and 10 assists last night, 6th career triple-double, plus 30 against the Philadelphia 76ers. And then Anunoby, 26 points, 6 steals, a plus 38 against the Denver Nuggets. They won a lot of games. Again, sucks to see I'm happy to see our guys winning, but wish it all worked out on the Toronto Raptors. Personally, I'm rooting against the Indiana Pacers, not because I actually enjoy a lot of players on that roster. Again, Spicy P is there. Halliburton's a fun guy to root for. They got a few Canadians on that roster, Nembhard, Mathurin, all those guys. So, I mean, I like the players, but given the fact that we have those draft picks, we want the Pacers to lose. Right now, they're 6th in the East, so they could fall behind the Miami Heat or Orlando Magic. Heck, even the Bulls have been playing better as of late. Be nice to see them fall down in the standings a little bit, so we get a better first round pick for this upcoming season. But even though if it comes at the cost of some of our favorite guys, but we'll see how it all shakes out. But again, shout out to Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby for having some solid games with their new teams. Let me know what you guys think about all this Toronto Raptors news. Again, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'm signing out. Cheers.